India can raid ports. So we could do a reverse march of the Vikings. Little known fact, the Vikings were actually Indians who got bored of raiding India, made their way through the Mediterranean, around Iberia, through the English Channel, and ended up in Scandinavia. Look at the people in Serbia and Bosnia. Oops. Yeah, this is all Greek. It's all Greek or barbarian up there. And that's all India. Even Tibet gets the Indian traditions. These are Persian. Okay. So the Persian traditions are everything except for Persia. Persia has Greek traditions. Egypt has Greek traditions. Italy has Italic. All of this has barbarian. I'm just going by what culture group this is all. This is all Greek culture. That's what it seems to be loosely related to. What about the Arabs? I suspect Greek. Simply because I don't think they've got one yet. Oh no! You're right! Levantine and Arabian. I stand corrected. Phalanx tactic. General loyalty. This line is pretty strong. Military colonies. So military colonies is another of the big deals because it allows you to use armies to settle new provinces. Increases attrition. That's harsh. Because deserts already do a ton of attrition. Like, one of the reasons that Zayt has been relatively quiet in Egypt, and Egyptian players don't tend to be massively aggressive, is because of the amount of deserts around them. And they just hemorrhage manpower travelling through those... excuse me, through those deserts. So with the Arabians being able to increase that desert attrition even further, yeah, you just don't want to go down there. Iberians would just be a barbarian. Iberians would just be a barbarian. Because it was only really the coastal colonies which would be different, so if we can find one of those, they may well have a different tradition. Probably Greek. No, barbarian. Okay, colour me surprised. I expected these to have Greek. That one does. So what makes Hemeroscopeion different from these? Unless they've been conquered by barbarians, that is entirely possible. Switch over to you. Click on you. Click on that. Settle tribe. That's why. Settle tribe. So they were conquered by the tribes already. Yeah, I suspect that the military traditions are going to be like the mission trees or idea groups. They'll just keep adding more and more of them around the world as the game gets further through. Another thing that we haven't really looked at actually are the... We've looked at the different governments, so we've seen the difference between like the monarchies and the republics and the tribes, the settled tribes, the migratory tribes, and then all of the different variations within that. What we haven't really looked at are the laws. So like the anti-corruption laws, you can change these laws for 250 oratory power, which is really quite pricey. You use oratory for a lot of stuff. But you can abolish anti-corruption laws, so you can make bribery cheaper. The Lex Acilia Reparandorum. Monthly wages for characters is increased, but their corruption goes down. Monthly corruption goes down even further. However, endorsing their party costs more. Unrest goes down, wages are increased. Call Omen cost minus 20%. Omen power increased by 10. Religious faction increase goes up. Reduction to tyranny. What was I saying? Oh yeah, reduction to tyranny, increase in religious faction influence, increase in religious faction, omen duration. There's loads of them. And these are different also for the different governments. What I don't know is whether they are different within a government. So if we select this, which we know is a plutocratic republic, that is the same as Rome's republican laws. No, it's not. Rome has its own military reforms, but not the electoral. Of course, Rome has the Marian reforms. So yeah, some of these laws are actually country-specific. Interesting. But I suspect everything else is the same? Yeah, it is. Citizen land. Military election. Citizen land, military election. So yeah, within republics it's the same, but sometimes different countries are slightly different. I suspect that's special because it's Rome. Now would be the time for Carthage to make its move. Rome actually has manpower for probably the first time this game. Although they are losing 1,000 men to attrition this month. Oh no, that's just because they're moving around. Oh! Oh! Rome's gone after Macedon. And it doesn't look like Thrace and Arcadia have come to their assistance. So Rome's attacking here. Lots of heavy infantry against heavy infantry. They're both using the bottleneck tactic. I suspect that the simple superiority of Roman heavy infantry is going to win the day there. Nope. Macedon holds strong. Okay, so that's what you were talking about, was the Rome-Macedon War. Fair enough. It caught me because it's not Blue Flames. Because of course Macedon's not a player right now. So I'm kind of waiting to see if Arcadia or Thrace move in. Like, this is a direct threat to them right now. Does Macedon have any guarantees? It's guaranteeing Arcadia, but is itself not guaranteed or allied or anything like that. We got some more Macedon troops marching over this way. That is going to be hills. Although it looks like they're going after this unit. And doesn't look like they'll catch it. Usually there's a little icon saying there's going to be a battle here. Is the Macedon player coming back? I don't think so. Can I compare the traditions that they have? If I can select them, I can. So, they have cohort starting experience, experience decay, trireme cost, heavy infantry morale, and light cavalry defense. While Rome has taken heavy infantry discipline, which is huge, morale of armies, heavy infantry offense, and then build military roads. So they've got offense and discipline versus morale. Plus, Rome has a morale bonus as well. The other thing that we should also double check are their their idea choices. So Rome has morale of armies, Rome has reinforcement and army morale recovery, and then general admiral loyalty. We have another battle, but this is going to be an absolute smash by the Macedonians. Rome does have manpower, Macedon doesn't, but Macedon has a fair amount of money, which Rome also has. Rome's economy is very, very strong. And then Macedon's idea choices, not as militaristic. General and admiral loyalty, morale of armies, same as Rome. So Rome has the cohort construction speed, which at this point is not as useful, because armies have already landed. So I had Chinese food for lunch. My fortune cookie was your cat will die. What? That's horrible. So, generating... How much stuff is Rome losing during this? Because I'm going to be watching their manpower with interest. Because Midge does tend to have some pretty heavy units. Like this one, 15,000 men. 11 units of heavy infantry. They are using up a lot of supply and taking a lot of attrition damage. Unfortunately, I can't click on the provinces and see what the province supply is.
Huzzah!
Ah, but I can do it this way. So the supply limit of this province is 22 and this unit uses 17. So they will actually be okay in Albanopolis. But they were not okay in Clodiana. Darkfighter, thank you very much for the resub. I appreciate that. And I'll catch you later. So Roman armies are starting to march in. Another thing I would like to see is just a comparison of cohorts. So this is 59 with no manpower versus Rome's 109 with 11,000 manpower. So Rome does outnumber Macedon 2 to 1, although I don't think that all of Rome's legions are over here. And yes, you are right, this would be a great time for Macedonia to attack, because Macedonia has 65 ships, Rome has 56, and a bunch of Rome's armies would be trapped in Macedonia. And this would be even better if Carthage could set up a agreement with the other Greek states that they declare war once Carthage is involved in order to actually wipe out these legions. So this is another battle. This one's going to last a bit longer, so we can see the primary cohorts standing there in the center, the other cohort in the borders, and then we have the cavalry on either flank, as they are the flanking units. We have another 7,000 of you. Nope, they're running away. Had those guys come in, I suspect that Macedon could have won this battle. The other thing I would like to do is just compare the Roman legionaries. The legionaries have 57 discipline against the Macedonian. Actually, Macedonians have 45% discipline on those. That's pretty strong. And then plus 15% because they're heavy infantry against light infantry. During our struggle, we're playing as Rome right now, so that's 6,000 losses for 6,000 kills. 1 for 1. And Rome is, yeah, they need 20,000 manpower to replenish everything. They're out. Rome is guaranteeing the Greek states. Doesn't matter if the Greek states declare war on Rome. That's a unilateral agreement. It's not bilateral. It was either the First or the Second Punic War that was an alliance between Carthage and Macedonia. I suspect the first? I don't know for sure, though. And we have another battle incoming. This is going to be 23,000 against 19,000. The terrain here is farmland, so I don't think there's going to be any terrain modifiers. And here we go, battle is joined. And the Romans left just at the wrong time. This is a superior Roman commander, although he is already low on morale from the previous battle. Plus he is outnumbered like 2 to 1 and taking huge amounts of casualties. The second Roman army has arrived, bringing in a bunch of light cavalry and some more heavy infantry, archers, and light cavalry versus Macedon. Actually has the better overall discipline, which is interesting, but the Romans have the level 11 marshal against the level 9, and they have reinforcements. If those reinforcements arrive, that could swing it. When do you get here? They get here on the 4th of June. Oh, they're going to be too late. And they're crossing a river, which would have screwed things up anyway. Wikipedia says it was the second one. Okay. And this has no heavy infantry at all. So the heavies are going to smash the lights. And the archers have no modifier against heavies. So yeah, this is a pretty solid Roman victory. And this time, the skirmishing advantage is beating that of the bottleneck. And I suspect that Midge has changed to skirmishing because skirmish tactics means you suffer less casualties in combat. And he is aware of the fact that he is out of manpower now. Like, Rome is looking a little bit shaky. Rome's also being attacked by barbarians. Oh, yes. 13 cohorts have attacked to the north. There are a couple of small Roman units arranged around, but it kind of looks like a large number of Rome's legions are actually just being shipped over to fight in Macedon. Who declared this? This was Rome declaring war on Epirus. They're trying to expand their territories here in Greece. And at the moment they are losing, and they are losing heavily. Minus 17. They've failed to get any of the war goal. And out of the 44 heavy infantry cohorts, only 26,000 remain. But then again, the Macedonian side isn't looking that much stronger. 41 losses to 35,000 losses. Now we just need Carthage or the Greek city-states to jump in. Or hell, even Egypt. "12,000 men marching along here." That's a level what commander? 7. So he's not as good a commander as the other one that we saw previously, which I think is this guy. Oh no, it actually says there in brackets. 7, 11. This is the really, really good commander. This is also the army that has been completely and utterly decimated. Out of 15,000 soldiers, there's 2,700 left. Macedonians are moving in over here, attacking the 2,500. Mitch does not seem to have noticed. These guys are not yet marching to reserve. The little silver shield there is the same as the padlock, meaning that they've moved half their distance and therefore locked into the movement, which is great. Mitch paid off the Egyptians to stay out. Okay. But what about Carthage? Carthage is the one that I want to see. No reaction. This is going to be very bad for the Romans, suffering a bunch of casualties. And they immediately withdraw. 1,500 losses for 100 kills. That's awful. Rome does have another 12,000 troops up here. Archers, heavy cavalry, and heavy infantry. Like, I have to say, attrition is killer in this game. So as tempting as it is to get a bunch of heavy infantry units, Rose is right. Like, you can just let the really heavy armies just attrition themselves to death. So I can see just how effective her strategy of attritioning Egypt was in Sicily, because Sicily is a lot of mountains, which means very low supply levels, and it's going to be just the same over here. These are the mountainous areas of Greece and Albania. 12,000 Macedonians marching up here. Ooh, if these guys kill that stack, I wonder what's going to happen to that general. Reinforcements are coming in. These guys are coming to block in Bu against these 6,000. Crossing over into Claudiana. I'm not sure what this lot are doing. They may go from here to here. Well, they may just stand here and basically use this as a block. In fact, no, that wouldn't work. Apollonia is Roman, so they could just go around this way. Oh, and they could go through here anyway. Duh. Now, it does look like Rome's going to cross the river. Really? Oh, what territory is this? Farmland. Rome's crossing the river. They are locked in. If you march these guys to assist, if you march both of these to assist, you could crush this army. And that is basically the last of the Roman reinforcements. Then they are entirely reliant on that army. So this is 10,000 against 10,000. Again, fairly balanced with the heavy infantry. Both sides definitely favouring those. Morale being the critical factor. Macedon is taking the greater casualties as the superior Roman heavy infantry show through. But I am impressed by the heavy infantry that Macedonia is throwing into this. Here comes the excellent general. See, they do have the -1 because of the river crossing. No other terrain penalty because this is farmland. And it does look like Rome's going to win. Although these guys are arriving but way too late. Way too late. You needed these guys much earlier. Oh, there's another 13,000 down here. So Rome, now 23,000 manpower short. A bunch of Macedonian mercenaries. They've bought 24,000 troops coming in as well. How is Macedonia doing for money? Macedonia is having money problems. Although, actually no, they're only losing a ducat and they have 294 in the bank. They can last with that for quite a long time. Although, bear in mind, as more of Macedonia gets sieged down, their economic strength will suffer more and more. Unfortunately, another small stack from the Macedonian side being caught out on their own. Not as many heavy infantry to shield them, more of them being light infantry, and the flanks are going to be devastating like that. That's a lot of people that can hit the sides. And yeah, this is a pretty one-sided conflict for the Romans. Now, this is the very effective Roman commander. Is he a consul? This is the guy I'm pretty sure is the former consul of Rome. He is not anymore. He has 30 popularity. Okay, he's not very popular. His prominence is rising, however. He has a bit of wealth. Not a huge amount. And his loyalty is 76, but going down slowly. Mostly because of the tyranny. Wow, Rome has 36 tyranny. So with 35 tyranny, quite a lot of primary culture happiness penalties, but they are getting 35% national slave output, which is earning them that much more money. Also, imprisoning and execution cost less. Here come the mercenaries. Probably all going to jump on this unit, especially as they're lower morale. So the gold line down here is the morale. So you saw that ticking up there towards the end. 23,000 Romans standing here in a province that would require 5,000. Taking unnecessary attrition. Again, it is hard to do because if the units are loyal, they won't split away. But even this, you could split in half and these loyalists would stay and everyone else would go, I think. They're saying this is red, really. The other thing we should probably check is Macedonia's technology levels. We'll do that in a minute. So we do have a morale of 4.5 versus 4.5. So I suspect actually the technology levels are the same. Big unit of Macedonians coming in to reinforce. If they can then bring these units, that's 40,000 against this 22,000. Like, just keep going east. Keep going east. Lift this siege. Well, let them siege it for a bit longer so they get more attrition. Then go and lift it. Carthage is still not in. Arachnos. Oh, Carthage is definitely losing an opportunity here. How's Phrygia doing? Phrygia, I think, has actually consolidated a lot more of the south coast. I think that Thrace and Acadia were wrong not to go after Phrygia. I don't think they would have been able to wipe them out, but they would have been able to, like, secure the periphery territories, at the very least. 4,000, withdrawing to the 22,000. I mean, you're running away, so there's not a huge amount you could have done about that, but still. Use this 20,000! Attack that! Stack wipe? Stack wipe. Rome's income is definitely going up, but they are... Sorry, not going up. They're still positive, which is really good for them, but they are now 33,000 manpower short. And there are no Oh, player war, player war. I think they've joined. I think they've just joined. Thrace and Phrygia. No, Thrace and Phrygia are fighting each other. They were complete... I bet that this is Phrygia declaring war on Thrace. I bet you. War of... No, it wasn't. Thrace declared war on Phrygia. So what are the sides like? They're... Okay, Thrace has a very, very large army. Phrygia have got a couple of light infantry, a couple of heavy infantry, and a couple of archers versus primarily heavy infantry. Big fleet. I mean, actually, Phrygia does outnumber them, but I guess this is going to be a technology difference. So if we go to you, can I see text 3333 versus Thrace's tech 8777. So Phrygia's technology is backwards as hell. Let's do a quick comparison of Rome 6666 versus Macedonia's tech of 7687. So actually Macedonia's technology was superior to that of Rome. So this is primarily going to be Phrygian numbers versus Thracian quality. Are there stack wipes? Yes, there are stack wipes. And yet, Carthage says nothing. So Phrygian armies are here in the back. Oh no, Phrygian armies are down here in the south, starting to mobilize. We have 24,000 Thracian mercenaries coming in. It does kind of look like the Thracians are going to be reliant more on mercenaries, which is probably a good idea, because it will mean that they suffer less attrition. Thrace coming in with tons of manpower, and they, so far, have not lost very much to attrition. They're losing a little bit of money from the treasury, but I don't think that's a huge problem. Meanwhile, Phrygia, with only 11,000 manpower, 400 in the bank, they could recruit 1, maybe 2 units of mercenaries if they're a little bit careful. They do have 30,000 troops on the way over here, but there are 30,000 just blocking that. So Phrygia does have some extra reinforcements coming in, and Thrace is pushing across the Bosphorus? I think that's the Bosphorus. Is that the Bosphorus? Phrygia's flag is pretty awesome. Yeah, I do like it. It's very Greek. And Roman Macedon continues. But I'm more interested in the player war. I want to see how this goes. So the players are angling for position. These Phrygians coming in, not yet spotted, and this 14,000 is going the wrong way. Although Thrace has almost complete naval superiority, I would say. So not being able to cross back from these crossings, I don't think is going to be an issue. Also, this is a siege in plains, so no defensive bonus. Forts in this work the same as EU4, where you get the defensive bonus if your siege is still alive. So if this was mountains and Phrygia attacked into it, because it's a Phrygian fort, the mountain bonus would be on the Phrygian side. So here come the Thracian navy, just making sure that these guys don't get stuck. But this is 28,000 jumping on 18,000. This 14,000 unable to make a move. Another 13 coming in. Another 24,000 coming in. And now we can see the quality. So the quality is clearly in Thrace's favour. 5.05 morale versus 5.05. Really? I find that a little hard to believe. 20,000 against 10,000. They are outnumbering 2 to 1. In terms of casualties inflicted, I suspect that Phrygia can win this. These 12,000 coming in are probably going to be enough to clinch it. And Thrace should probably back off at this point, because they are now just suffering casualties simply because they're surrounded. Even more troops coming in, but the quality of the Thracian troops definitely showed themselves there. Although this is completely unnecessary, taking those casualties. Did not need to do that. 9,000 for 13,000. I suspect that could have probably been 9 to 9 had they retreated earlier. Meanwhile, 12,000 Thracians over here. Not yet doing much. But Phrygia needs to be careful of its manpower. 6,000 manpower already short, so they're going to be down to just 6. Meanwhile, Thrace, 50,000. Like, they're going to be pretty sweet. Thrace can afford the attrition losses. Phrygia also massively upgrading their naval potential. If they are allowed to build these and to concentrate those ships, then that is definitely going to be a contender for naval superiority. And if they can seize naval superiority, then Thrace no longer has the mobility, and they can't just hit anywhere. So this is 40,000 against 15,000. There are another 14,000 additional Thracians coming in. Once they arrive, I think that this will turn around for the Thracian flavor. They are already winning, inflicting tons of casualties. And actually, if we have a second, 32 discipline versus 25. So the Phrygian infantry is actually better, but the Thracians had the better tactic, using phalanx versus shock. Phrygia does have better discipline, but that's basically completely countered. And in fact, overwhelmed by the fact that it's a phalanx. The second stack came in and lost. So both of the stacks, allies and Phrygians, failing to push these two out. And again, Thrace can afford the losses. Phrygia cannot. Are these mercenaries? No. Neither of these are mercenaries, I don't think.